Lafayette's great-grandfather on his father's side was Charles Motier de Champetier, Baron of Vissac. And from the will of René Armand in 1692, Charles took the title of Marquis de Lafayette. And it was Charles's son, Edward, who first dispensed with the name Champetier. So Charles's son was Edward Motier, Marquis de Lafayette, and this was our Lafayette's grandfather. He was one of the first who assumed the title in earnest, Marquis de Lafayette. Edward was a soldier. His claim to distinction, however, was his having married Lafayette's grandmother, January 9, 1708. She was 18, he was 38. Edward married Marie Catherine de Soie, Dame de Chevignac. Part of her dowry was Chateau de Chevignac. Chevignac in 1884 became Chevignac-Lafayette. La Puy-en-Velay, you recall, about 22 miles southeast, Clermont-Ferrand, 58 miles northwest. The chateau burned in 1701, rebuilt after the burn. Marie Catherine lived in it from then on until she married. She lived at Vissac, some 10 miles away, until Edward died. Edward was a junior officer in King Louis XV's band of bodyguards. This was at Versailles. On October the 8th, 1736, was his first time appearing in this role. King Louis XV had been out hunting. They were returning from the hunt. Edward was riding alongside the king's carriage. Somehow, someway, Edward's horse lost footing, went down, hard. Apparently, Edward hit his head, suffered, we presume, a cranial fracture, and was never the same afterward. Even the king felt compelled to ask about him. He lingered on for 39 months and died, January the 9th, 1740. He was 70 years old. He and Marie Catherine had been married 32 years. They had 4 children. The oldest was Jacques Roche, born in 1711. When he was 6, recall, his cousin Marie Madeleine Motier de Lafayette, her name before she married Duc de la Tremoille, in accordance with her father's will, that is René Armand, left the Seigneurie Lafayette in Auvergne to Jacques Roche. Jacques Roche was the first to actually own the estate on the Champetier side. Jacques Roche was dashing. He was a captain, a dragoon in the French army. A dragoon was an infantryman who had a horse. He would get on his horse, gallop to battle, dismount, fight, and if he survived, get back on his horse and retreat. A dragoon. And he would carry a dragon. A dragon was a sawed-off blunderbuss. If you took a musket and then sawed it off and flared the end of it, you'd have a blunderbuss. If you sawed that off, then you'd have a dragon. So it was a big but a wieldy pistol that you could manage on a horse. Jacques Roche was in Italy, Milan specifically, the War of Polish Succession, and on July 8, 1734, fighting Austrians. He was the commander. He beat back the Austrian line, captured the commander, and took the Austrian commander, his prisoner, and put him on his saddle, his horse, behind him. This was primarily to prevent the Austrian commander from being abused by the French soldiers. What Jacques Roche failed to do was to confiscate his prisoner's pistol. So at first opportunity, his prisoner pulled the pistol and shot Jacques Roche in the back. Jacques Roche died. He was not yet 23. The Seigneurie Lafayette passed on to Jacques Roche's brother. This would be Michel Louis Christophe Roche Gilbert Motier de Lafayette, who was 2 at the time, and this was our Lafayette's father. So Edward held the title Marquis de Lafayette. Michel Louis held the land. Edward died in 1740. and for the first time, title and land were in the same hands. Michel Louis Marquis de Lafayette, our Lafayette's father. He owned the Seigneurie Lafayette and the title Marquis de Lafayette. Marie Catherine, our Lafayette's grandmother, had 2 daughters. Margaret Madeleine du Motier, who never married, didn't want to leave home, and she doted on our Lafayette. She died in 1783. You recall the year the Treaty of Paris was signed. The American Revolution came to a conclusion in earnest. Louise Charlotte Guerin Martier married Jacques Guerin de Chevaniac in 1755, and they had a daughter, Louise Marie. This would be our Lafayette's closest friend growing up. On August 25th, 1776, she married Aucun d'Abo, died in childbirth at the age of 24. It was quite the loss for our Lafayette. Marie Catherine, our Lafayette's grandmother, was a stunning woman. High forehead, oval face, arched brows, confident eyes. When her husband Edward died, she moved with her children from Vissac to the newer chateau at Chevaniac. She was 50 years old. Her eldest son died 6 years before. That would be Jacques Roche. Marguerite Madeleine, Louise Charlotte, and 8-year-old Michael Louis came to Chevaniac. This family history, incidentally, is superbly dissected by John Bessica, who is an officer of the Lafayette Trail and also a member of the American Friends of Lafayette and of the Lafayette Alliance. Chevaniac had been built in the 14th century, imposing 2 flanking towers, one on either side, family bedrooms, a grand salon, and a library on the ground floor. The second floor had a great hall and a master bedroom, 4 floors in all. A new chapter.